For a firefighter entering a burning building, this is most likely the scenario they would encounter. Lots of smoke, the roaring noise of a fully engulfed fire, the occasional sound of a buzzing chainsaw, and the alarming beeping of a firefighter's pass alarm. This is all part of the training process for the 9 new recruits who hope to become full-fledged members of the Steinbach Fire Department. The basement of the Steinbach Fire Hall is used to conduct search and rescue training. But the noise and smoke used to simulate the challenges of battling a real blaze. Russ Reimer is a captain with the Steinbach Fire Department and is also the lead training officer for all new recruits.
We typically hire, lately it's been almost every other year, just because it takes about a year to a year and a half to complete a training program. And we're usually short-staffed by the end of that following year, so it's time to hire again. This latest group, we selected 10, and we started with 10, but as per normal, within the first few classes, sometimes you lose guys, so we lost one already, and whose heart just wasn't in it, and we may lose a few more along the way, we'll see, but hopefully we'll finish with the 9 that we have.
For a new recruit, the training starts here in the classroom.
With our latest class of recruits that we just started, we started with them in January, and so they've been training since then, so they've got a few months of training under their belt. We typically tend to try and get through the theory as fast as possible and get off to the practical. These recruits will be in training up until September to October. Their actual testing date with Brandon right now is scheduled for October, so we're hoping to be finished the formal firefighting aspect of training by October and get them tested and certified. And then they will conduct a hazmat portion, hazardous materials, which should wrap up early spring. So if they pass everything, complete all written exams, practical evaluations, and get everything the first time, they should be fully certified level 1 firefighters with hazardous materials operations level, probably by January, February of 2015.
Given the demands of the job, a career as a firefighter isn't for the faint of heart.
Ideal candidates, and when we talk to guys before they apply here, like our latest rookie group, we'll ask them, you know, as growing up, as you've watched incidents, what happens when you see an incident? Is your instinct when you see people have a car crash or when you see people in trouble, is your instinct with the zero training to rush into the incident and help? Is your instinct to just stop and call for help, but you're going to sit on the sidelines? Or is your instinct to make a phone call and keep driving? You couldn't be bothered, you've got an appointment to make. And the people that are going to make good firefighters, EMS, police, military, are the people that throw caution to the wind, and without training, they just get their hands on the incident and they do the best because they have an instinct to save lives or to help people. And that instinct is what's going to be mandatory to make it in the fire business long term. And also fear. Firefighters are fearful people. They have fears. Some firefighters fear fire. It sounds silly, but there are firefighters that some of them are afraid of fire, or some are afraid of heights. We're not as concerned about that fear as long as if you're called to action, you can overcome it. You don't have to like fire, you don't have to like heights, you don't have to like claustrophobic situations, but in the case of us saying, we need you to go rescue a downed firefighter, I need to know that everybody here would be willing to come in and save me. So with our latest training group, as we train them, we are continuing to watch for those traits and making sure that they have them.
We're just doing search and rescue training. So a couple guys have gone into our basement, and as you can see, we've got some simulated smoke with a dry ice machine. And they've gone in and conducted a search, and they've just found a huge victim that they have to drag out. So I can hear that they're coming now. So they've gone in on a right hand of the wall, and they found their victim, and they're on their way bringing them up.
The victim in this case is Randy, a slightly worse for wear dummy who, by the looks of things, has been in this situation on many occasions.
Rescue Team 1, can you give me a status update?
This is Rescue Team 1. We had the victim out of the building.
IT copies, victim is out of the building.
Randy's meant to simulate a down, unconscious person, or maybe somebody who's not alive any longer. But more than anything, I mean, he's more the weight of what a downed firefighter would be. and so he's probably around 200 pounds, but at dead weight. So it's extremely heavy, whereas a firefighter is actually going to be probably 250, 260 with dead weight, maybe even 300 pounds. So the guys really have to get used to carrying a really heavy dead weight and a limb, really limp limbs. So it's difficult to move them around corners and stuff.
Sometimes a little bit. They come down, they get a little panicked. We had this drill a couple weeks ago, and when they start getting onto low alarm, they're in a room they're not familiar with. They're in the smoke, it's dark, they can't find their way out. They tend to get a little hyped up, they start using a little more oxygen, and I don't know, they kind of maybe freak out a little bit for their first time, but once we get them further along into their training, they should adapt a little better. We'll train them to keep calm and to do everything properly.
The next task would see the recruits perform the same exercise, but this time with a real human being.
Well, you treat it real, right? You gotta go in, you gotta find somebody that's down. When you hear a mayday, that's another guy's life there. So you do everything you can to get him out in a hurry without beating him up, hopefully.
You're dealing not just with his weight, you're dealing with going around, of course you said, doors and windows and stairs. You have a hose line in the way, you have other furniture in the way. You're trying to get him out as quickly as you can. But yet you need to get out safely as well, so lots going through your mind.
And to make things even more interesting, the next team was sent in blindfolded.
Yeah, now we're actually bagging them. So rather than using the smoke, now we simulate complete darkness. This is really tough, but this is probably the most realistic training a fireman can do. There's a really good fire, you won't be able to see anything other than a couple inches off the floor. So when we bag them like this, now they're going solely on their senses with their feel. So they got to basically trace that whole structure that they're in with their hand. And if they don't, they could get disoriented or lost very quickly, and they will have a hard time finding the victim.
And as you can see, the task at hand is a lot tougher than it looks.
If I'm honest, it wasn't terribly good, but that's okay. That's why we train. These guys are brand new.
You lose your vision, lots of noise, trying to figure out what to listen to, and you're also trying not to lose your hose, trying not to lose your axe, and find Randy all at the same time. So a lot of stuff to think about. I want to do it a lot more, basically. Yeah. I'm glad this is the first time. I'm glad this isn't something that there is a real situation that I had to go into.
While these new recruits won't become fully accredited firefighters until early 2015, most of them will start participating in what's referred to as soft calls within the next few months to give them a taste of what they can expect once on the job. Although the training process can be a grueling and challenging experience, Reimer says the satisfaction of a gratifying career far outweighs the demands and dangers of the job.
No matter what call we go on, I've learned over the years that what makes me tick and why I get so excited to go on the big red truck, that's what I always call it, is you're selflessly serving. So when a person self-sacrifices, no matter what, so it doesn't matter if it's a false alarm, if someone's actually hanging out of a building that's on fire, to a car crash, to a drunk driver that just killed someone else, we are there for them no matter what. And we've gone and we've given up selves. We've even given right down to giving, we're willing to give up our lives to the death for people today that we don't know. Our families have even given of us to go and do this to serve the community. And when you do that, when that's your core, the core being of who you actually are, you're just someone who will give. There's no greater feeling in the world. People search for that their entire lives. They search for purpose. They search for meaning. And when we got on a fire truck and serve, man, it's the greatest feeling in the world. With a cat in a tree or a great rescue, it doesn't matter. We showed up, we're the fire department, we took care of you no matter what. Minus 50, plus 50, tornadoes, whatever, we're there. That's awesome, all the time.
For Steinbach Online, I'm Karen Black.